On this vote, the yeas are 221 and the nays are 212. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
We're very pleased with the vote today. I think that sent a message loud and clear to the White House.
The House has now spoken, and I think pretty loudly, pretty clearly, with every single Republican voting in favor of moving into this official impeachment inquiry phase of our constitutional duty to do oversight.
And the House voting to formalize the Biden impeachment inquiry yesterday. Republicans on the same page, all voting in favor, with all Democrats voting against. President Biden released a statement afterwards claiming that Republicans are attacking him with lies, wasting time and avoiding critical issues. Biden also refusing to answer questions about the impeachment effort at all. Watch.
President Peter, we're going to keep going. Are you worried? President Peter, we're going to keep moving outside now. Peter, are you worried about being impeached? Thank you so much. We're going to make our way out now.
Joining me right now is South Carolina Congressman Russell Fry, a member of the House Oversight and Judiciary Committees. Congressman, thanks very much for being here. How do you see the proceedings yesterday?
Well, it was interesting. One, the Republicans were united, and I think what really forced that issue, was the defiance of a subpoena by Hunter Biden. Look, we've subpoenaed him. He's known for weeks that he was supposed to be in front of the House committee. And I think, too, quite frankly, is the hesitancy, the reluctance of this administration to comply, to give us documents, to be forthright. The American people have answers, or they have questions, and we expect this administration and the parties involved to answer those questions. Yeah, I mean, House Oversight Chairman James Comer and Judiciary Chairman Jordan moving to bring the contempt of Congress charges against Hunter Biden after he skipped out on that congressional subpoena yesterday. Here's how the White House responded to that.
Does he believe that congressional subpoenas are something that individual citizens can ignore?
I'm just not going to speak to that. Just not. The president was certainly familiar with what his son was going to say, and I think what you saw was from the heart from his son.
Mr. President, should your son have defied the subpoena?
Did you watch Hunter? Did you watch Hunter this morning?
Meanwhile, here's President Biden just 2 years ago responding to a question about those people who defy congressional subpoenas. Watch this.
Do you defy congressional subpoenas on the January 6th committee?
I hope that the committee goes after him and holds him accountable. I do, yes.
Yeah, holding them accountable, Congressman. Obviously, he's not saying anything this time around.
No, I think that's just kind of convenient. Look, the subpoenas mean what subpoenas. I mean, if you do this in a court of law, a judge is going to direct very quickly that the sheriff, deputy, or law enforcement go pick you up for violation of the subpoena, for not showing up. President Biden was correct a couple years ago when he was talking about this. People defy subpoenas; they need to be picked up. But guess what? Now your son's doing the same thing. It's time to hold him in contempt, and we'll see if the Biden Justice Department decides to go pick him up and bring him before the House. What does that get you, holding him in contempt? I think, look, we can control what we can control, but subpoenas mean something. The rule of law means something, and if you are required to come before Congress to testify in front of a committee of jurisdiction on any number of issues, you need to comply with that. Former President Trump weighed in, reacting to the Hunter Biden defying the subpoena. Watch this.
Did you see Hunter today, right? He went to the wrong place. He went to the Senate instead of the House. Everyone's saying, where's Hunter? See, it always gets, where's Hunter? What a two-tier system of justice we have.
California Congressman Eric Swalwell, who was seen behind Hunter Biden on Capitol Hill yesterday, you see him here, telling Politico that he actually reserved the spot for Hunter to give those remarks. Swalwell defended the decision to do so, saying he's not going to sit quietly and let MAGA Republicans do Trump's bidding. Congressman, some are accusing Swalwell of, quote, aiding and abetting a crime. Do you see it that way?
Well, look, I mean, I'm curious as if he indeed reserved the spot. What was interesting about yesterday was that he went to the Senate side of the Congress, where the House, theoretically, I guess the House Sergeant at Arms had no jurisdiction to go make him come and comply with the subpoena. So the whole placement yesterday was very elaborate and set up from the beginning. Obviously, Congressman Swalwell was there and came out of the car, and so it looked to be very coordinated, which I think is deeply concerning too, is that there are lawfully issued subpoenas and you're not complying with those. You're going to the Senate side in this elaborate kabuki theater and then skipping town in a Suburban without answering questions, without even staying there. The whole thing yesterday was an acting job.
Well, what do you believe is the most damning evidence in all of this?
Well, you know, from the basis of the subpoena, and you look at the money that has flowed into the coffers of the Biden family, what is most concerning to me right now, what we can see, is the Ukrainian connection. What is going on there? What decisions were made from the point of the U.S. government with the monies that were delivered to this family?
Oh, okay. This is a very important point that you're making, because you're actually having a fight right now in terms of sending more money to Ukraine. And you think that there could be something that is criminal in terms of money from Ukraine going to the Biden family over the years? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, so look, I mean, Hunter Biden was not qualified to be on the board of Burisma. He said that himself. He was on the board. He was asked in Dubai by the executives of Burisma to call Washington because they were having trouble with the prosecutor. And then lo and behold, Joe Biden goes to Ukraine, withholds U.S. money until the prosecutor is fired. I think that is about as clear as it gets.
Do you think that you all will leave town without agreeing to money to Ukraine and policy change at the border? Real quick. Where does that
I know there's
stand?
discussions. I know there's discussions in the Senate right now. We remain, we'll see what they decide to do, but we're going to do our job today and go home for Christmas.
Congressman, it's good to see you. Merry Christmas to you.
You too.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Congressman Russell Fry in D.C. this morning.